These are 5 travel photography tips in under 5 minutes. For this episode of this series, I'll focus on autumn photography while traveling. Probably my favorite time of the year to take photos, but also a very tricky one, as it can be quite difficult to take the photos you have in mind. As always, none of these tips have anything to do with your gear. You can apply them regardless of what device you use to take photos. During this episode, you will be seeing some images from an autumn Japan trip, where I could take some of my all-time favorite autumn photos. However, these tips can be applied to any location, it's not only about Japan. We only have 5 minutes, so let's get started. The first tip, and it might be the most essential one, is to manage your expectations. Instagram, image, video editing have created very unrealistic expectations when it comes to autumn travel photography. Even in this video, you will be seeing some quite cool photos, these epic Mount Fuji maple trees, what some people might call the bucket shot. Reality though is very different. Autumn usually implies nature, and nature is unpredictable. A tree can have the most gorgeous tones and the one next to it can still have green leaves, and another one can be without any. Even more, there are some tree species that don't change their color or take less vibrant tones. To ensure you take photos you're satisfied with, remove the expectation from your mind and understand that the success of your autumn photos does not only depend on your photo skills, but also on the conditions. However, there's something you can do to understand what situations or conditions you might encounter. And here comes the second tip, and it is to check the weather forecast, not only of when you will be in location, but of the previous days. Because there are two things that don't get on well with autumn leaves: wind and rain. If you see that it's been rainy and windy the days previous to your trip, it can be that most trees are without any leaves already. Something you can do to adjust your expectations, besides checking the weather forecast, is to check recent social media posts. Don't look for reels or photos. Go to Instagram stories, as it is where you will find the most raw reality of a place. This way you will adjust your expectations and better plan your time there. Don't forget to check the weather forecast of when you will be there as well. As I said before, avoiding rainy days is essential, but if there's some rain forecasted and you have some flexibility, try visiting the spots you're interested in before the rain gets there. Especially when it comes to autumn travel, being flexible and a bit open about your travel plans is very important. Maybe don't book everything or don't have your days 100% planned to the tiniest detail. It can be that there is a place you hadn't considered but that actually has the best tones. If so, don't be afraid and go for it. But even if the weather hasn't been ideal or isn't ideal, there are 3 more tips that I promise you will allow you to take better autumn photos. The first one is to get closer. We tend to imagine forests covered in red, orange, yellow, but it's hardly ever like that. Not only because of the weather, but there are countless variables that impact when a tree will change its color. Thus, get close to the ones that have nice tones, and it will be much easier to give this autumn vibe to your images. This tip even applies to urban scenes. But besides getting a bit closer, a more technical photo tip for autumn is to try different lenses or compositions. Don't worry, it doesn't mean you can't take photos with your phone, but it is not the same to take a photo with the 50mm, just portrait, where the leaves are, for example, the foreground, than to zoom in and capture the details of a leaf, or going wide and capturing the full tree. Composing autumn photos takes time. And with this, we get to my final tip. Be patient and go to the extra mile. Don't stop at the first tree, or don't be satisfied after the first okay-ish photo. If all the photos you see online look the same, it's because they are all taken from the same place, with the same lenses and the same composition. Try different things and be patient. I have a very clear example of how you can apply this tip. When in Japan, everyone wants to take the photo of the Mount Fuji with autumn leaves in the foreground. Most people walk from this village called Kaohchiko to the lake, and stop at the first 2 or 3 trees they find. It's the early morning before sunrise, and I get it, it's cold, you're sleepy, but walk a bit more, or rent a bike, or as I did, instead of just visiting one spot, take a full morning and do the full loop around the lake. This way, you can get to places where only few people stop at and take different and unique photos. Let's recap the 5 tips for autumn photography. Manage your expectations by doing your research on the expected weather conditions. Once in location, get closer, try different angles and compositions, and to take unique autumn images, go the extra mile and do what others are not doing. These were 5 travel photography tips in 5 minutes for this month. Subscribe so you don't miss the next episode, as I'm recording more of this every month. In addition to all the extra travel and photography content you can find on my channel. Enjoy your trips and see you in the next video!